A British blow to Putin. London is allocating £8 billion to Ukraine and launching a mega package with allies worth £100 billion. Belgium at the center of a scandal. Diplomats suspect the country of profiting from Kremlin money. Germany is allocating €100 million to Ukraine's energy front. Italy has entered the game. Support for Ukraine until the very last day of the war. An incredible breakthrough. Australia and New Zealand are joining in weapons assistance for Ukraine for the first time. The global coalition has joined in full force. The Kremlin is under mega pressure. I'll tell you all the details in a moment. Greetings, this is Ukraine Today. I am Victoria Panchenko and the latest developments. Britain is preparing a financial blow against the Kremlin. The London government is considering transferring £8 billion from frozen Russian assets to Ukraine. This is just part of a global campaign aimed at breaking Putin. According to British officials, the head of the Kremlin is a direct threat to the security and future of the United Kingdom. Therefore, increasing financial aid to Kyiv has become a matter of survival. At the same time, Britain is holding talks with the EU, Canada, and other partners to assemble a mega package of £100 billion, which would become a record level of support for Ukraine.
Keir Starmer's cabinet is convinced that Putin is an active threat to the safety, security, and prosperity of the United Kingdom. As part of an international initiative to increase pressure on the Kremlin, the United Kingdom wants to reach an agreement with the European Union and other countries, particularly Canada, which could unlock up to £100 billion to support Ukraine.
According to The Times, such a package would cover 2/3 of all Ukraine's financial needs for the next 2 years, both for continuing the war against Russia and for launching post-war recovery in the event of peace. The European Commission openly states Russia's frozen assets, the best source to cover the costs of aid to Kyiv. The proposed €140 billion loan does not formally confiscate them. Russian money, they will only be returned after Moscow pays war reparations. London, however, insists that Russia is a threat to the safety and prosperity of British citizens and demands that partners bypass the Belgian veto and unblock another 130 billion rubles. We
must remain vigilant regarding the ongoing threat from Putin and Russia. The United Kingdom will continue to support Ukraine together with its allies, ensuring it holds the strongest position, both on the battlefield and in shaping the future peace.
Meanwhile, Berlin is allocating €100 million to Ukraine to save its energy system. The money will go to the country's energy support fund. As noted by Germany's Minister of Economy, Katharina Reiche, Russian attacks have turned Ukraine's energy sector into a new front line. And now aid is no longer just about equipment, but a fight for people's lives.
We will not abandon the Ukrainian people. Protecting energy supplies means protecting people.
Italy is also making a bold statement. Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani announced that his country will support Ukraine until victory is achieved and peace comes.
Italy will continue to help Ukraine until peace is established. But it hopes that very soon there will no longer be a need to send weapons to Kyiv.
Yes, I should add that I conveyed this position to U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, emphasizing that Italy fully supports Washington's efforts to achieve a ceasefire and is working to stop the cycle of deaths that has lasted for years.
Negotiations are ongoing. We are working to end this terrible period that has resulted in hundreds of thousands of deaths. Italy is doing everything possible to support peace efforts, but until peace is achieved, we will continue to help Ukraine.
New Zealand and Australia are entering the geopolitical game. These countries have joined the PURL initiative for the first time to finance the purchase of weapons from the United States for Ukraine. And this makes the project go far beyond the scope of NATO. You can see all the details right now.
NATO has confirmed its readiness to increase assistance to Kyiv. If we don't do this now, it will cost us much more in the future. Partners will supply Ukraine with weapons under the PURL program, estimated at about $1 billion.
About $1 billion in additional support has been confirmed by our allies to support our army through the PURL program. 5 countries additionally announced this. But for me, as the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, a country at war, it was truly important to feel this unity and determination right now.
In addition to the commitment of allied countries to allocate funding, one of the important elements of the meeting was the discussion of sanctions and the need to synchronize sanction packages.
At the moment, we are on track. We need about 4 billion by this time of year, starting from August, 1 billion per month. And right now we have 4 billion, so there is still work to be done in December. I am optimistic, cautiously optimistic, that we will also cover December.
At the beginning of August, the US and NATO launched a new mechanism to support Ukraine through the Priorities Ukraine Requirements Initiative, abbreviated as PURL. NATO countries, with the exception of the US, make voluntary financial contributions for the supply of American weapons and technology to Ukraine.
PURL is an initiative under which European countries purchase American weapons and transfer them to Ukraine through NATO in order to put an end to this war. If there's one thing we learned during President Trump's term, it's the active use of force to achieve peace. Peace is achieved through strength, not through harsh statements or threatening gestures. It is achieved through strength when you have real capabilities that are respected by your adversaries.
PURL allows for the coordination of contributions, speeds up procurement, and delivers to the front lines more quickly those things that cannot be replaced by European equivalents. The Netherlands were the first to join the initiative in the fall, allocating €500 million for the purchase of Patriot systems and other air defense means. Denmark, Norway, and Sweden funded ammunition for HIMARS and other critical supplies. Germany and Canada joined them. Belgium, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Iceland, and Luxembourg have announced their readiness to join the fifth funding package. Australia and New Zealand are expanding their support. The countries will provide the PURL initiative with military aid packages worth $63 million and $8.7 million.
Now, even New Zealand and Australia, which are not NATO members but are close partners of the alliance through the Indo-Pacific region, have also made commitments. This is truly great news, and it gives us a steady flow of weapons to Ukraine from the necessary US stockpiles. At
the same time as allies are joining in supporting Ukraine, Italy has decided to withdraw from the PURL program.
It would be premature to participate in the NATO program for purchasing American weapons for Ukraine in light of the ongoing peace negotiations. If we reach an agreement and the fighting stops, weapons will no longer be needed. Instead, other things will be needed, such as security guarantees.
This statement was the first open sign of a change in course by Giorgia Meloni's government. They are also against participating in weapons procurement. At the same time, the Netherlands will provide €500 million, Norway $250, and Canada $200. Poland is allocating $100 million for Patriot missiles.
The fate of Europe is at stake. We all want this war to end, and we welcome peace efforts. But it is extremely important that the result is a just and lasting peace for Ukraine. Germany has not stayed on the sidelines either.
All this money will be spent on armaments for Ukraine.
The federal government is very proud that, together with our friends in Poland and Norway, we are able to form another large package that is necessary to support Ukraine. $500 million is a significant amount. Germany is providing $200 million of that.
Let us recall that the first two military aid packages to Ukraine under the PURL initiative included missiles for the Patriot air defense system and for the multiple launch rocket system, HIMARS, which have helped our defenders on the battlefield and protected Ukrainian cities from Russian missiles. Ukraine has requested an additional €1 billion for the winter period to compensate for the reduction in supplies from the United States in previous months. PURL remains one of the key mechanisms for assisting Ukraine, but its future directly depends on the political decisions of the Allies and the course of ceasefire negotiations.
Meanwhile,
every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism, and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now.
the EU has decided on further methods of support. Brussels is offering two options. Plan A is a reparations loan using frozen Russian assets. But Belgium is strongly opposed. And diplomats already suspect that Kremlin money hidden in local banks is involved here. Plan B is funding from the EU budget. Brussels is already preparing a backup maneuver so that support for Ukraine does not depend on blockades. Let's break down the situation further.
The European Commission has prepared two options for providing financial support to Ukraine in 2026 to 2027. A euro loan or a repo loan using the frozen assets of the Russian Central Bank totaling 165 billion euros.
This will provide Ukraine with the means for self-defense and to advance peace negotiations from a position of strength. We are proposing solutions that will help cover Ukraine's financial needs for the next 2 years, support the state budget, and strengthen its defense industry. We propose to cover 2/3 of Ukraine's financial needs for the next 2 years.
According to Politico, the €165 billion loan is part of an even larger EU financial package. For Ukraine, the total amount is €210 billion. 115 will go to Ukraine's defense industry. 50 will cover Ukraine's budgetary needs. And 45 will be used to repay the loan that the G7 countries provided to Ukraine in 2024. And
the question is actually very simple. Either Europe, which wants to defend its own subjectivity, pays its own money to help Ukraine, or they try to use someone else's money, which of course is also quite pragmatic on the part of the European Union. They have a large resource, yes, about $300 billion in frozen assets. And with this approach, they genuinely want to enhance their own security measures without having to spend their own financial resources.
well, they didn't make it in time. The European Commission didn't manage to present its options to the public because Belgium threw a wrench in the works.
How will Belgium hand Putin an unexpected victory? Prime Minister Bart de Wever is blocking the confiscation of Moscow's frozen funds intended to help Ukraine. Will anyone be able to change his mind?
The head of the Belgian government has fallen for Putin's intimidation and blackmail. Moreover, the Belgian Mr. Chamberlain has started openly voicing pro-Russian narratives, claiming that the defeat of the aggressor who started the war is undesirable.
After the war, the frozen assets will have to be returned to the Kremlin. Someday this war will end, but Russia will never lose this war. In fact, it's undesirable for a country with nuclear weapons to lose a war and become completely unstable. That is not in our interest.
In the Kremlin, they clap their hands and pop champagne when they see what is happening inside the European Union. Now, such a moment has come, when Putin doesn't even need to specifically bribe one or two particular leaders of the European Union, for example, and right now, that's exactly what's happening. Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary, and in fact, these metastases are starting to spread to other countries as well.
And while the EU is embroiled in disputes, the US has come up with its own plans for the frozen assets in Europe. At first, in the original version of the American peace plan authored by Dmitriev and Witkoff, Washington wanted to invest part of the money into a US-led fund for the reconstruction of Ukraine. Europe categorically refused. And so, the White House proposed that after the peace agreement is signed, all the money should simply be returned to Russia.
Without a truly collective and unified decision, without a collectively strong, let's say a truly decisive and impactful resolution regarding the crucial reparations loan, Europe at this particular and critical moment finds itself in a precarious situation, cannot protect its own agency. That is why this is a Rubicon for Europe, a bifurcation point. The decision regarding the reputational loan for Ukraine, the decision on whether it is possible to help Ukraine continue to defend itself against the Russian Federation, is essentially a matter of survival for the European Union.
What do you think about international aid for Ukraine? We look forward to your comments. Stay tuned for more important updates and don't forget to like. Wishing you peaceful skies above.